Hello, I'm Bruce Salzgaber from Bauer Trucking. We put together this video. We'd appreciate if you take some time to watch it. I'd like to start this presentation with doing a safety video from J.J. Keller. It's about defensive driving, so sit back and enjoy the video. And after the video, we're going to talk about some companies' concerns and issues. Thank you.
More than a quarter of all work-related fatalities occur in occupations that require driving or the transportation of goods, making the need for defensive driving skills clear. So, defensive driving. We've all heard the term, but what exactly does it mean? Well, defensive driving is the concept where you're intentionally driving to reduce the risk of an accident. Defensive driving begins with the principle that you can avoid being the cause of an accident and can avoid being involved in an accident caused by another driver's actions. And it all begins with the first step, preparation. This training will explain how being prepared for a trip impacts your ability to drive defensively. Have you ever heard the expression, the best defense is a good offense? Well, it definitely applies to defensive driving. Your offense should start with a combination of sound trip planning, a thorough pre-trip inspection, and healthy personal habits. To make a sound trip plan, map out exactly where you're going, meaning map the route you'll take, where you'll stop, and when you'll arrive. A GPS can make planning your trip easier, but you need to use one specifically designed for professional drivers. Free cell phone-based apps are fine for the everyday driver, but they're not always up to date and are not created with your special needs in mind. A GPS designed for professional truck drivers will give you general route information, as well as information on low overpasses and bridges, route restrictions, and upcoming scales. Make sure to use paper maps in conjunction with GPS routing. Trucker atlases work even when there is no reception and are full of great information regarding the laws of each state, scale locations, and mileage charts between major cities. GPSs may speed up trip planning, but a driver is blind with no backup or verification to see the route on a greater scale. Part of trip planning includes determining the realistic time your route will take, not just how long it should take. Do your best to factor in anticipated delays caused by things like rush hour traffic, weather, cargo restrictions, or known excessive customer delays. Delays caused by road construction or weather conditions can be obtained from a reliable internet source like the Federal Highway Administration. Estimating the amount of time a trip will take is necessary for planning stops, determining your arrival time, and meeting scheduled deliveries or pickups. Perhaps most importantly, you need to prepare to comply with the hours of service regulations. This includes factoring in required DOT breaks when going on longer trips. Many drivers estimate 2 hours for every 100 miles they are traveling. For longer trips, that may be a bit too aggressive. It may be more accurate if you begin with the estimate of 2 hours for every 100 miles, but then add in extra time for things like vehicle inspections, fuel stops, and required DOT breaks. Once you're done trip planning, you're ready for your pre-trip inspection. Conducting a thorough pre-trip inspection helps you identify defective equipment on your truck, which could prevent you from performing a defensive driving maneuver. A couple examples. Defective brakes could prevent you from stopping in time if someone pulled out in front of you. And something as simple as your trailer's landing gear could get hung up at a railroad crossing or as you enter a customer's lot if you can't or don't crank it to the top position. Pre-trip inspections ensure your lights are in good working order. This helps you see better and helps others see you. Burnt out or broken lights and reflectors, dirty windows and mirrors, a damaged windshield, worn wipers, incorrectly inflated tires, or missing or faded conspicuity tape can all pose a significant danger to you and to everyone else on the road. While underinflated or overinflated tires wear out more quickly and unevenly, they can also pose serious hazards. Improper inflation can lead to a premature tire failure or blowout. A tire blowout can cause you to lose control of your vehicle, resulting in an accident. Maintaining tire pressure at the manufacturer's recommended level is a basic but critical aspect of every pre-trip. Never drive a vehicle that has defects which could compromise your safety or the safety of others. A healthy driver is a safe and alert driver. Achieving a healthy lifestyle can be challenging when on the road, but it is possible. Body weight, diet, and exercise all work together when it comes to your health. It's more than just being able to maintain your med card. Being overweight, poor eating habits, and lack of physical activity can all lead to health problems and fatigue. Let's face it, you spend long hours behind the wheel, and a lack of movement can take its toll on your body. Sitting for long periods of time can lead to fatigue, back pain, and even life-threatening blood clots for some drivers. Take my advice. When stopped for deliveries, pickups, or a break, take a quick walk, even if it's just around your rig. It's an easy thing to do that can really help out. Now, let's talk a bit about fatigue. Fatigue is a generic term used to describe anything from being sleepy to feeling absolutely exhausted. Two major causes of fatigue are sleep loss and changes to your body's circadian rhythm, basically your internal clock. Sleep, like food and water, is necessary for human survival. You wouldn't purposely starve yourself, so why would you deprive your body of the sleep it needs to function? In general, most adults need 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep to feel well rested. Sleep loss of as little as 2 hours can affect your performance behind the wheel. This includes impaired judgment, slowed reaction time, and a loss of coordination. That's not a good combo for any driver, but especially one who makes his living behind the wheel of an 80,000-pound rig. Sleep-deprived people also tend to eat more and crave food with simple carbohydrates, which are high in sugar. And yet, another drawback? Lack of sleep can also put you in a bad mood. For most people, their internal clock runs on a 24-hour cycle, with high points where you feel energized and awake, and low points where you feel sleepy and lethargic. Time cues, such as sunlight and darkness, along with your work hours, keep your body clock set to a certain schedule. Most everyone's clock is set for two low points. One is between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. The other is between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. The more dangerous of the two is between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m., since most people are programmed to sleep when it's dark out. This makes fighting fatigue difficult when driving at night. A person's low point is generally 12 hours after the midpoint of their last sleep cycle. In other words, if you were to sleep from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., your low point in the afternoon would occur at 2 p.m. Now, knowing this, you could intentionally plan for a break during that time to help stay fresh. Other ways you can fight fatigue is by getting a solid 8 hours of sleep, sticking to a regular sleep schedule, and avoid driving during your low points. Mandatory interruptions of driving required by the DOT are designed for your benefit. Being well rested and alert can help fight off what's called highway hypnosis, or the feeling of being in a trance. This is caused from long periods of driving without any stimulation, like when you're cruising down a long, lonely stretch of highway. Another danger you might encounter is called inattention blindness. This occurs when your brain doesn't register an object, even though you might be looking right at it. Usually, inattention blindness is caused when you're performing routine activities, like driving, or when you're distracted, like when you're talking on a cell phone. These sensations of being on autopilot or driving while automatically reacting to other vehicle and traffic signals is pretty scary, and one of the major causes of human error and crashes. And last but not least, being prepared helps reduce stress, which is good because, as you know, Your job is stressful enough. The causes of stress can be immediate, such as headaches or fatigue, but it can also cause long-term health issues, like high blood pressure or obesity. Defensive driving begins with the principle that that's right, you can avoid being the cause of an accident through preparation, making a sound trip plan, conducting a thorough pre-trip inspection, practicing healthy habits. These are all important to keep you ready and alert when out on the road. Wait, hold on. You thought the training was over. Gotcha. Let's go ahead and get rid of these credits. Now, before I let you go, I'd like you to watch a scenario on preparation with me. It's serious stuff, so sit up, put down your phones, keep your eyes glued to the screen, and get those pencils ready. I want you to jot down everything you see the driver could have done better to prepare for his trip. All right, Frank, roll that footage. Did you see all the mistakes this guy made? If I told you there were at least 6 mistakes, would you believe me? Let's rewind and take a look. Did that rewind it? No? You can just do it, Frank. Looks like our driver could have gotten a bit more sleep. Remember, you want to aim for at least 7 hours. More is better. Plus, he started his day with a high caffeine drink and a sugary breakfast. Beverages high in caffeine are no substitute for a good night's rest and are not recommended. You want a breakfast that will stay with you all morning, not one that could cause you to lose steam suddenly when on the road. Protein is highly recommended at breakfast and at each meal of the day. Peanut butter, nuts, chicken, fish, milk, eggs, or non-fat yogurt are good sources of protein. These healthy options would serve him better in the long run, keeping his energy more consistent throughout the day. Nothing wrong with his trip planning. He does a great job of estimating his trip and getting everything set up before he drives off. The driver missed 3 things in his pre-trip that could be disastrous later on. Did you catch them all? First, the driver did not crank his landing gear all the way up. When traveling over railroad tracks or uneven road, the bottom of the trailer could scrape along, causing damage to the vehicle. Second, he didn't notice his steer tire was underinflated. An underinflated steer tire could cause a blowout and loss of control of the vehicle. And finally, his headlights could have used a little love. Did you notice how dirty the driver's side light was? Dirty headlights could prevent the driver from seeing potential hazards in the road and prevent other drivers from seeing him. Here, the driver did a great job seizing an opportunity to get out and stretch a bit. He could have done a bit more had he chosen to take a walk rather than read a book to finish out his break. Did you see all 6? Some were pretty obvious. Were there any others that you saw? Go ahead, I'm listening. Oh, good. Anybody else? Really good one. One more? Yeah, I didn't even see that one myself. Well done. Great job to everybody. Okay, now we're officially done. Roll those credits, Frank. Seeing and being seen are key to defensive driving. How many times have you heard someone who caused a crash say, "I didn't even see that other guy"? We all want to get from point A to point B without any trouble, and in order to do that, we need to communicate with each other on the road. Communication is one of the most important skills of good defensive drivers. Seeing is being able to focus your attention on the road and the task of driving without getting distracted. Being seen is making your presence and intentions known to others. This training will help you see and be seen by identifying ways to effectively communicate with other drivers. Like you, other drivers are not mind readers. They can't know what you're going to do if you don't tell them. And telling them is pretty easy. Use your turn signals whenever you turn, change lanes, pass another vehicle, merge, exit a highway, parallel park, or pull into traffic from the curb. Always, always, always use your turn signal in these situations, even when you don't see any other vehicles in the area. Remember, your commercial motor vehicle, or CMV, has blind spots, and the most dangerous vehicles are the ones you can't see. Here are a couple tips. 1, signal early, and by that, I mean signal well in advance of making your move. In the city, signal a half block ahead of time. On the highway, signal about 500 feet in advance. In either case, your turn signal should blink at least 3 times before you begin your move. Check your mirrors and change lanes slowly to give any potential vehicles in your blind spot time to react or alert you of their presence. Second tip, signal continuously. You never want to cancel the signal until after you have completed the move. After all, you're not being charged for each blink. That's what turn signals are for. Believe it or not, other drivers may not notice your CMV even though it's the biggest vehicle on the road. So you should communicate your presence in order to help prevent accidents. Many companies require headlights, or at least your daytime running lights, to be on at all times when traveling. Regardless, from dusk to dawn, your headlights should be turned on. This helps you see the road, and it helps other drivers see you. Some state laws require your headlights to be on anytime you're using your windshield wipers, but it's a good idea to have them on anytime you encounter rain, fog, snow, or blowing dust. Whenever you're about to pass a pedestrian or bicyclist, assume they don't see you and could suddenly move in front of your vehicle. When it is safe and legal to do so, move your vehicle to the far left of your lane and drive past slowly. If you come across a pedestrian or bicyclist at night, let them know you're there by flashing your headlights off and on from a distance if it's safe and legal. But be cautious, you don't want to startle them. If you ever have to pull onto the shoulder because of an emergency situation, you must immediately turn on your 4-way emergency flashers, and you must get your warning devices properly positioned within 10 minutes of stopping. Another way to let others know you're there is by using your horn, but be careful with this. Only use your horn when necessary, like when preventing a potential accident. If you see another driver who's not paying attention and drifting into your lane, a light tap on the horn should be enough to get his attention. When used unnecessarily, your horn can be dangerous. You could startle other drivers or even anger them. You don't want to cause either, and you especially don't want to set off a road rage incident. Keep in mind, a light tap sends a much different message than a long blast. In general, use only your vehicle's electric horn. The air horn is extremely loud and can distract or frighten others. The horn should be used for communicating your presence and to warn of immediate danger. It isn't a toy and should be used appropriately. As a professional driver, your workplace is the nation's highways. When out on the road, do your best to represent your company in a positive way. Set a good example by following the laws and regulations which have been put in place for the well-being of everyone. CMV drivers who are rude and aggressive, including those who speed, tailgate, and cut off other drivers, are not only unsafe, but also leave fellow motorists with a bad impression of truck drivers, the company they work for, and the transportation industry in general. Now that we've covered everything you should do to communicate with other drivers, it's just as important you watch for and understand the signals of other drivers. In addition to the obvious means of communication, such as other drivers using their turn signals or honking their horn, there are other, more subtle signs you need to watch for when on the road. For example, driver movement in a vehicle. Drivers who shift around in their seat or look in the mirror may be getting ready to change lanes. Observing the vehicle itself can give you clues to the driver's intentions as well. Sudden slowing or a slight position change in a lane may also indicate a directional change, regardless of whether or not they use their signals. Distracted drivers can be easy to spot, as they tend to sporadically change their speed and enter other lanes unintentionally. Rather than focusing on the road, these drivers may be eating, texting, talking on their phone, or fiddling with their radio. Be alert to the obvious and sometimes not so obvious communication signals of others as ways to anticipate and avoid potential problems. Be sure to avoid being fixated on other drivers' bad habits to the extent that you become distracted yourself. Move your eyes from distractions quickly back to the task of seeing. Communication is a very important part of defensive driving. Remember, to avoid crashes, you must see and be seen. In other words, use your turn signals and flashers appropriately. Make your presence known. Use your horn when necessary, and recognize signals from other drivers. If you're able to give and receive information clearly, you'll make it to your destination without any trouble. Okay, now that that formal conclusion is out of the way, I think we're ready to test your knowledge on this subject. Grab a pencil, open up your notebook, and get ready to watch some highway footage. Jot down anywhere you thought communication between drivers was lacking or could have been better. After, we'll regroup and see how you did. There were some pretty intense moments there. As you know all too well, these close calls happen more often than we'd all like. And with so much going on, I'm sure you saw a bunch of communication between drivers. So let's go back. I'll point out a few things I want you to pay particular attention to. The driver does a great job of using his turn signal to indicate he is merging onto the freeway. However, he turns his blinker off a bit too soon for my taste. Remember, signal early and signal continuously. This driver should have waited to cancel his signal until he was completely merged into traffic. I don't know what happened here. The driver doesn't signal as he passes. Even though traffic is light, that's no excuse. A lack of communication like this could cause a crash. Did you notice the truck's headlights are on? Headlights are a great way to indicate your presence no matter what time of day it is. This error is a bit more subtle and sometimes unavoidable, but the CMV's cab is in the car's blind spot. That, along with the other driver being distracted by her music, could lead to a crash. Things get a bit out of control here, as the truck driver honks his horn rather aggressively. In these situations, it's important to remember that other drivers may not have as much experience as you do maneuvering through roundabouts or other confusing intersections. Cut them some slack. Looking, or using your sight to scan your surroundings, is a very important part of defensive driving. When you look for potential trouble on the road, you're typically doing so with intention. You're not just casually driving along. You're actively scanning for hazards in your path. A safe driver is constantly aware of what is going on all around his vehicle. When you scan the road for danger, you want to focus straight ahead, to the left and right, as well as behind you. This training will show you how to look for hazards by scanning the road around you, as well as through the proper upkeep, placement, and use of your mirrors. Distance scanning helps you avoid abrupt stops and radical speed changes caused by the driving behaviors of other motorists. For some of you, hard braking and vehicle speed may be things your employer monitors electronically. Along with helping to avoid accidents, effective scanning can help reduce fatigue since your eyes are continually moving and not fixed on a single object. It's not enough to keep your eyes on the vehicle in front of you. If you're not scanning at least 5 cars ahead of you, you may not be able to anticipate and react to changes in traffic. Watch road signs that warn of curves in the road, changes in traffic patterns, or construction zones. As a general rule, look about 12 to 15 seconds ahead of your vehicle. In the city, 12 to 15 seconds is equal to about 2 to 3 blocks. On the highway, that's just over a quarter of a mile. If you ever can't see that far ahead because of weather conditions or low visibility, reduce your speed. If there is a problem up ahead, slowing down gives you time to spot it, decide how to avoid it, and safely maneuver past it. As a professional driver, you know potential hazards are everywhere. Be on the lookout for things like other vehicles, distracted drivers, pedestrians, road signs, traffic signals, debris, animals, the weather, intersections, construction, stopped vehicles, emergency vehicles, and accidents. Any one of these could affect your path of travel at any moment. And along with those not so predictable dangers, there are more concrete hazards that will challenge you to adjust your visual search. Roundabouts, sometimes called traffic circles or rotaries, can be a bit tricky to navigate through because of the sheer size of your vehicle. When entering roundabouts, the key is to plan ahead. Know what direction you're going so you can select the proper lane ahead of time. Look left and yield to any vehicles already in the roundabout before you enter. As you drive through, you'll have little to no visibility to the right until you start to make your turn to exit. regardless of the direction you're headed. Watch your mirrors, keep your eyes on traffic around you, and take it slow to ensure you come out of the roundabout safely. Drivers can be confused in roundabouts, so be alert for drivers who may turn into your lane. In some cases, confused drivers have been known to slow down or even stop in roundabouts. Whenever you start moving from a stopped position, look left and right immediately before proceeding. Then, ease forward so cross traffic can see you. Backing and turning require you to adjust your visual search because of tight spaces or potential obstructions in your path and the difficulty in seeing some of them due to blind spots. If there's any doubt about what is around your vehicle, get out and look before you attempt one of these maneuvers. Don't rush. And if people are watching or waiting impatiently for you to clear the area, remain calm. Take the time you need to back or turn safely. When traveling down the road, you can't get out and look. You need to rely on your mirrors to provide you a view of the rear of your vehicle. You should glance at your mirrors about every 4 seconds and always use them before changing speeds or your position in traffic. As helpful as they are, any driver knows mirrors can't help you see everything. Blind spots on both sides of your CMV make things like lane changes, turning, and passing pretty challenging. Most tractors are equipped with 2 types of mirrors, plain and convex. A plain mirror, otherwise known as a West Coast mirror, enables you to see down the sides and toward the rear of your trailer and the roadway behind. A convex mirror is designed with an outward curvature to provide a wide-angle view. Some trucks are also equipped with hood-mounted convex tripod mirrors, which provide the most visibility down the side of the truck. For best coverage, a combination of plain and convex mirrors provides maximum side and rear vision. Whatever mirrors you have, make sure they're clean and properly adjusted to help you get the best view. Take time to adjust and clean your mirrors during your pre-trip inspection. You want to be able to see the side of vehicles in traffic in the inside edge of the mirror. Having just a sliver of your own vehicle visible on the inside edge of the mirror will provide you with a reference point. This helps you judge how far away another object is from your truck. You'll also want to aim the mirrors low enough to see any nearby pedestrians. Good use of your mirrors will help you spot and avoid hazards. As you already know, a driving hazard is really anything that poses a potential danger to the motoring public. It's what defensive drivers are looking for, why they continually scan the road as they drive. The hazards you are looking for fall into 2 major categories: road hazards and user hazards. Road hazards appear in many different forms. They may be naturally occurring, man-made, or a combination. Road hazards are characteristics of the road surface that could adversely affect your ability to control your vehicle or see clearly. Sometimes the pavement drops off sharply near the edge of the road. Driving too close to the edge, like an uneven surface of a shoulder, could cause your truck to suddenly tilt and hit signs or trees on the side of the road. Steering also becomes difficult when crossing a drop-off. Traveling through a work zone can present several challenges. Most notably, you need to watch out for both workers and construction vehicles. But there may also be narrow lanes, sharp turns, poor visibility, unclear lane markings, changing traffic patterns, or uneven surfaces. In addition, other drivers may be confused or unsure where they should be in work zones, causing them to drive erratically. Debris in the road is unpredictable and can be a danger to tires and wheel rims, interfere with electrical and brake lines, and get caught between dual tires, causing severe damage. So, along with traffic, you need to keep an eye out for objects in the road. Never follow the vehicle in front of you too closely. Doing so could cause the vehicle to block your view of road debris until it is too late for you to react. Freeway and turnpike exits can be particularly dangerous. Because of the weight of your vehicle and even your load, You should travel at 5 miles an hour less than the posted ramp speed limit. That is the recommended speed for a standard automobile. Curving off ramps change your vehicle's center of gravity, increasing the chance of a rollover. To prevent this, adjust your speed well before entering the curve. Exits that go downhill and turn at the same time can be especially dangerous, since the downhill grade makes it difficult to reduce speed. A driver entering a freeway or turnpike may not be paying full attention. He may not notice a vehicle approaching from behind or the side. In addition, some on-ramps have a short upgrade. This makes it difficult for a heavy vehicle to get up to speed and merge. Engaging the left turn signal can be helpful in alerting drivers on the highway that your intention is to merge onto the roadway where they are traveling. While that should be obvious when you're in a big truck, a turn signal may be what catches a driver's eye and prompts them to allow room for you to merge. User hazards are dangerous situations caused by others. Anticipation is key to avoiding a user hazard. At intersections, it's a good idea to slow down, watch for changing lights, and signal early. Check and double check for cross traffic. Realize vehicles may be hidden from view at a blind intersection or alley. Since a fellow driver may not have a clear view of traffic and may pull forward to get a better view, you should always be prepared to stop. People who can't see others can be a danger. Be alert for drivers whose vision is blocked by too much cargo in the rear seat or dirty or snow-covered windows. Rental trucks should also be watched carefully, since many rental truck drivers aren't used to the limited vision to the sides and rear of those vehicles. A parked vehicle can be hazardous when it begins to pull into traffic. Watch for movement inside the vehicle or movement of the vehicle itself, which indicates people are inside. Keep an eye out for brake lights, backup lights, exhaust, or other clues the vehicle is about to move. Joggers with earbuds in, people on their smartphone, children playing near the road. Each one can lose focus on their surroundings and become a hazard you need to avoid. Pay extra attention when traveling near parks, trails, school zones, and at bus stops. In addition, keep an eye out for animals, especially when animal warning signs are posted. Animals can suddenly dart out from behind heavily wooded areas and onto the road in front of you. Drivers changing a tire or working on an engine may not be paying attention to traffic going by. If you see jacked up wheels or raised hoods in the distance, move over one lane to maximize your space. And it's not just pedestrians or drivers on the side of the road who could be distracted. Drivers distract themselves when behind the wheel by texting, using their cell phone, eating, and drinking. Now, I know it's not your job to babysit the actions of other drivers, but for your own safety, pay attention to where they're looking. If their eyes are on something other than the road, they may not see you. Confused or impaired drivers often drive erratically, cross lanes of traffic, or even stop suddenly and without warning. Confusion is common near freeway or turnpike interchanges and major intersections, and it's common among tourists who are unfamiliar with the area. Out-of-towners can be pretty easy to spot. Signs include rooftop cargo carriers, trailers, and out-of-state license plates. Keep an eye out for vehicles driving very slowly, frequently using their brakes, or drivers looking at signs, their GPS, or paper maps. You can spot a fatigued driver by their constant yawning and head bobs. They also tend to vary their speed and can wander into other driving lanes. Another big user hazard is accidents. Accidents can present many different types of hazards. The people involved in an accident could be injured or disoriented and may not pay attention to the traffic around them. Passing drivers tend to slow down and look at the crash. Some even stop completely. And good Samaritans who stop to try to help may run across the road without looking. The last user hazard I'd like to mention is railroad crossings. As you approach a crossing, slow down, lower the volume of your radio, and listen for an oncoming train. If you have any doubts whether or not a train is coming, stop, and look far down both sides of the tracks before proceeding. Distracted drivers make a conscious choice to distract themselves from driving, whether it's texting, looking at their GPS, or slowing down to look at an accident. This means not only is it important for you to be a focused driver, it's equally as important for you to be aware of the unfocused drivers around you. Hazards can pop up anywhere and at any time, which is why looking ahead and being aware of what is happening around your vehicle is a key part of being a defensive driver. To keep yourself safe, remember to scan 12 to 15 seconds ahead and both sides of your vehicle, modify your visual search as needed, clean and adjust your mirrors for best visibility and scan them continuously, and do your best to anticipate and avoid potential road and user hazards. Now, this is the time I normally cue up a scenario we created to help reinforce what we just went over, but I'm not going to do that today. Now, today I want to share some authentic footage with you. We strapped cameras on a typical tractor trailer and followed it around for a couple of days to capture some real road and user hazards out there. Now, you're still going to need a pencil and paper, but rather than looking at the actions of the driver, focus on what is happening all around his vehicle. Write down what hazards you see. And hey, for extra credit, write down whether that hazard was a road hazard or a user hazard. That's not the right one. Well, what'd you think? Constantly scanning for hazards without any clues as to what you're looking for isn't easy. And as a professional driver, it's probably not new to you. Well, count up how many you got. Raise your hand if you saw 3 or more hazards. 5 or more? 7 or more? Nicely done. Now, let's go back and re-watch the footage. I'll point out a few of the big ones we spotted, but if you found others, be sure to share them with your trainer and fellow drivers in the room. Did you notice the work zone on the right? While our driver ran into a lot of road construction during our time together, this is the first time he needs to watch out for workers and construction vehicles. Here, the driver comes across a disabled vehicle. He notices the raised hood, changes lanes, and slows down as he gets closer to the vehicle. Good thing, too, because the other driver drops a tool and reaches into the road to retrieve it. If our driver was driving too close to the right side of the lane and the tool had fallen further away from the disabled vehicle, the results could have been tragic. There's a lot of action here the driver needs to pay attention to. Not only is there a right lane closure ahead, he has traffic on all sides of his vehicle to keep track of, and a stoplight coming up. But the most unexpected potential hazard, in my opinion, is the pedestrian on the driver's left crossing the street outside of a crosswalk. As we mentioned earlier in the training, exits and ramps can be particularly dangerous, especially when they have sharp curves. Remember, curving off ramps change your vehicle's center of gravity, increasing the chance of a rollover. CMVs should always travel at 5 miles an hour less than the posted ramp speed. The hazard here is the railroad crossing. As you approach a crossing, slow down, lower the volume of your radio, and listen for an oncoming train. Be sure your path is clear before proceeding. And finally, I'd like to point out the small and sloping gravel shoulder on this narrow 2-lane highway. Driving too close to the edge could cause the truck to suddenly tilt and hit objects on the side of the road. Drifting onto the shoulder could also cause a loss of control. Did you catch all the ones I just mentioned? Now, as someone who spends a majority of your day behind the wheel, I'm sure you've seen and avoided your share of road and user hazards. And although these hazards didn't result in an incident, they're important reminders on what things to be aware of when out on the road. In my opinion, each time you reach your destination without incident, it's reason to celebrate. It means you've done your job of looking or scanning the road for danger and successfully dodging it. Today's roads and highways are booming with drivers and more ways than ever to distract them from their task of driving. Now, avoiding a crash requires you to adopt another part of defensive driving, constantly adjusting your speed and managing the space on all sides of your commercial motor vehicle, or CMV. Now, this training will help you recognize how to do just that. Properly managing your speed means driving the safest speed for who and what is around you. Now, this includes slowing down or speeding up in response to things like traffic, road conditions, and weather. To manage your speed effectively, you need to understand the 3 factors involved in stopping your CMV: perception distance, reaction distance, and braking distance. Perception distance is the distance your CMV travels from the time you see a hazard until your brain registers it. The perception time for an alert driver is approximately 1 3/4 seconds. At 55 miles an hour, your CMV travels roughly 145 feet in that time. Reaction distance is the distance your CMV travels from the time your brain tells your foot to move from the accelerator to the brake pedal. The average driver has a reaction time of 3/4 seconds. At 55 miles an hour, that accounts for an additional 60 feet. Braking distance is the distance it takes your CMV to stop once the brakes have been applied. Your CMV will travel about 215 feet from the moment you engage your brakes until it comes to a complete stop. However, if your vehicle has air brakes, as most CMVs do, there could be another half-second delay before your brakes engage. In that time, your CMV will travel another 30 feet or so. When you add it all up, a tractor-trailer traveling at 55 miles an hour, in ideal conditions, mind you, could travel a total distance of almost 450 feet and take around 7 seconds to stop. That's longer than a football field. When traveling at higher speeds, the stopping distance and severity of a crash is even greater. Vehicle weight also plays a role in stopping distance. An unloaded vehicle has less traction than a fully loaded one, so it requires a greater stopping distance. Traction not only plays a role in total stopping distance, but also affects your ability to maintain control of your CMV. Certain weather conditions, like rain, snow, or ice, can reduce the grip your tires have on the road and therefore your ability to command the movement of the CMV. Rain definitely messes with traction. As rain begins to fall, it mixes with oils in the road, causing those oils to rise to the road's surface. Until enough rainfall breaks down and washes away these oils, there will be a layer of slippery oil between your tires and the pavement. Heavy rain can cause a vehicle to hydroplane, where your tires skim along the water surface. When a vehicle hydroplanes, its tires are not in contact with the road, and traction and vehicle control is lost. If recent rainfall has been heavy, approach standing water with caution. And for your safety and those around you, reduce your speed by at least 1/3 in rainy conditions. Snow causes both reduced traction and limited visibility. Light powdery snow can cover the road and form a slick, smooth surface. If heavy, slushy snow becomes hard-packed, it can form an icy surface, which can also affect vehicle control. It's a good idea to reduce your speed by at least half in snowy conditions. Ice-covered roads can be even more dangerous than snow-covered thanks to black ice. Black ice forms when temperatures drop rapidly and moisture on the road freezes into a smooth, almost invisible, slippery surface. In black ice conditions, the road appears to be wet and shiny in headlights when it's actually icy. At the very least, reduce your speed by half in icy conditions. You always want to operate at a speed that will allow you to stop safely, not only during bad weather, but also when something unexpected, such as another vehicle, pedestrian, or animal enters your path. Now, properly managing the space around your vehicle is equally as important as managing your speed. This includes the areas ahead of, behind, to the sides, above, and below your CMV. This cushion enables you to make positional adjustments when unsafe situations arise. The space ahead of your vehicle is the most important and one of the easiest to monitor and adjust. The amount of space needed depends on the speed you're traveling, the condition of the road, and the weather. In ideal driving conditions, it's recommended you allow at least 1 second of space for each 10 feet of vehicle length at speeds below 40 miles per hour. One way to determine how much space you have is to wait until the car ahead of you passes a fixed object in plain sight, such as a road sign. Then, count off the seconds until you reach that same sign. At greater speeds, or if you suspect you're sharing the road with an impaired or distracted driver, add another second of space cushion. When weather proves to be an issue, allow for an even greater cushion since, as we already mentioned, your truck will take longer to stop. You'll want to increase the amount of space between you and any other driver you notice texting. A driver who is texting is 6 times more likely to be involved in a crash. The fact is, texting is one of the deadliest driving distractions. Studies have shown that texting while driving can impair a driver as much as driving with a blood alcohol level of 0.08%. It's impossible to keep other drivers from being distracted, just like it's impossible to keep them from tailgating. But there's some things you can do to keep yourself safer in these situations. Move to the far right lane, slow down, and give the other driver a clear opportunity to pass you. Never brake check a tailgater. Aside from it being a reckless, citable offense, it might be just enough to send the driver into a fit of road rage, and who knows what he'll do then. Or worse, you could cause a crash, which never ends well for anyone. But because CMVs often take up most of the lane they're traveling in, make sure there's plenty of space between you and other vehicles on either side of you. Don't drive too close to the center line, as it can be very easy to drift across into oncoming traffic. Avoid hugging the right side of the road as well. If you run into a soft shoulder, it could cause control problems. And when possible, avoid traveling directly alongside other vehicles for any length of time. This will give you an escape route should you need one. For example, if you or another driver come across a hazard in the road, you may not be able to maneuver and avoid it. Another driver may change lanes suddenly, turning into your CMV, or your CMV may become trapped and unable to change lanes. Adequate space above your vehicle is needed to clear bridges, overpasses, trees, and power lines. Never assume the heights posted on bridges and overpasses are correct. Repaved roads or packed snow may reduce posted clearance heights. Check your route for low overpasses as part of your pre-trip preparation. The weight of a vehicle's cargo can also change its height. An empty vehicle sits higher on the road than a loaded one. Also, be aware of how a road is graded. Road grade can cause a high-sitting vehicle to tilt, which can be a problem for low clearance areas. If you have doubts about whether there is enough space to proceed, stop and get out and look, or take another route. While nothing is as foolproof as getting out of the vehicle to check your overhead clearance, a GPS designed for professional truck drivers can provide information on low overpasses and bridges. Free cell phone-based apps are fine for the everyday driver, but you require one specifically designed for the needs of a CMV driver. Last but not least, you need space below your vehicle. That one's easy to forget. The space below your CMV can be very small when it's fully loaded. Driveways, railroad tracks, dirt roads, and unpaved lots can be a challenge. Slow and steady is the rule in these cases. You don't want something like your trailer's landing gear to get hung up or damaged. Managing your speed and the space around your vehicle will ensure you always have a way out if trouble presents itself. Just remember to adjust your speed to match your surroundings. Weather and road conditions affect traction and your vehicle's stopping distance, and always maintain enough space ahead of and all around your vehicle to operate safely. Who knew there was so much involved in managing your speed and the space around your CMV? What's that? Oh, you did? We'll see. I put together a good old-fashioned hazard perception challenge. Why are the credits rolling right now? Frank, can you get rid of these? I got more to do. Now, I put together a hazard perception challenge to see if you can spot where speed and space are not being managed as well as they could be. You got to pay attention. Everyone except for that guy who says he knows everything. I'm sure he's going to do great. Okay? All right, got your pen, paper? Let's roll. All right, welcome back. Well, what did you see? Oh, not bad. Well, let's take a look together, and I want to point out a few things that I hope you spotted. Well, it's raining, which can make the road slippery and can cause a vehicle's tires to lose their grip on the road. Even though she's driving under the speed limit, she should have reduced her speed by 1/3 due to the weather. Later in her route, the driver is not managing the space in front of her vehicle very well. This vehicle is going over 40 miles per hour. At that speed, the driver should have allowed 1 second of space for every 10 feet of vehicle length, plus an extra second for the high speed. Now let's count how many seconds she is behind the car in front of her. 1, 2, 3. Just 3 seconds. Do the math. There's no way this CMV is less than 30 feet long. It's simply not enough of a cushion. This here is some good driving. Good speed, nice cushion, no hugging the center line or the right side of the road. While the driver goes under this overpass at a good speed and without incident, it would have been even safer had she slowed down more or stopped her CMV to get out and look to ensure there was enough clearance. Especially considering the downward and upward slope of the road, I'd say she was lucky she didn't get hung up. She ends her trip well. Going slowly up the driveway was a smart move on her part. She must have remembered the space under her CMV is pretty tight, and she didn't want anything to scrape. Well, that's it. That's all I got. Did you spot anything else I didn't mention? If so, I encourage you to discuss them amongst yourselves. All right, Frank, you can roll those credits.
Welcome back. Thank you for watching the safety video, and also thank you to Cutie Insurance for supplying us with the J.J. Keller safety video library. I'm going to address some company concerns and issues. Fuel costs. Fuel costs are up. We'd like to ask the drivers to watch their idle time. The more we can conserve fuel, the better we are. Idle time, if you're not in your truck, we'd appreciate if you shut it off. We understand we're in winter conditions now, but if you don't need to idle the truck, if you're in warmer climates, please use your bunk heaters. Shut the trucks off when you're not in them. Idle time brings up fuel costs. It also affects your after-treatment system on the trucks. The less idle time we got on our after-treatment systems, which is our exhaust system, which some of you experience park regens and so on and so forth. The less time we got idle time, the longer your after-treatment system will last before we got to replace filters in it. And so if you can reduce your idle time, it'll result in less park regens as your filters start to plug. So keep that in mind. Winter fuel, as always in the Bauer yard here, we appreciate if you use the fuel in our Bauer yard. We monitor the temperatures as the winter progresses. We keep track of it. We add additives. We put number one in, blend our fuel here. We're very confident that the fuel we got in the yard here, at our Bauer yard here, is good. You're not going to have no issues with gelling, fuel gelling in extreme cold weather temperatures. Road purchases, Quick Trip. We get pretty good discounts from the Quick Trip. If you're running around Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, I guess they got some stations now. If you're operating in these states, please try to use the Quick Trips. They give us a substantial discount. And what we're seeing, people are still using the Petros and the Loves and TAs in Wisconsin. If you can, please use the Quick Trips when we're in Wisconsin. Once we get out of the area where the Quick Trip locations are, TA, Petro, Loves are great choices. They also give us discounts, but if you can use the Quick Trips, they give us a better discount. So try to use the Quick Trips when you're traveling in Wisconsin. DEF purchases also, the same applies. If you can put DEF on in the Bauer yard here, please do. Our DEF we buy here, we buy it in the bulk. We get it considerably cheaper than you can buy it on the road. So if you need to put DEF in, we'd appreciate if you put it in the Bauer yard here. Just a few things about the winter driving season. We're getting into the icy roads and so on and so forth. A few things to remind you about. It may be sunny here in Wisconsin when you're leaving out on a run, but take some time, go on the National Weather Service, take a look at the weather to where you're going. I mean, it could be nice here. You get 100 miles, 150 miles down the road, you could be in a snowstorm. Plan ahead, look at your weather conditions. Make sure you know what you're getting yourself into when you leave out of Medford here or wherever you're departing from. Know what you're looking at, know what you're going to get yourself into, allow extra time. Just a reminder about trucks going west. we gotta carry chains on the trucks. Anybody going out toward the Rocky Mountains area out there, we gotta have truck chains in the truck. We don't expect you to use them if you don't want to put them on, but we do have to carry them. If we're caught without chains in the chain boxes, we'll get fined. So make sure you're carrying chains if you got a West Run. Just a few things to talk about for winter driving. Carry a warm coat, hat, gloves, boots, that sort of thing in your truck in case you would get stranded, breakdowns, etc. Make sure you're prepared for that. Carry some extra food, extra water in your trucks. A lot of you drivers have refrigerators and things like that, but go prepared. You could get stuck on a closed road. You could sit there for a day or so before the road opens up. So we've jumped into winter driving in cold temperatures. Again, we've experienced some drivers destroying tires by not watching their wheels after their trailer. By all means, we put chalk in the driver's room. There's a few different ways you can do it. Everybody does it the way they, however you want, but pay attention to your wheels on your trailer after you've been parked, whether you're at a truck stop or leaving out of the Bauer yard or a drop yard, wherever you may be. Make sure them wheels are turning. It don't take too long and them tires sliding, and you'll destroy a set of trailer tires in no time. If to the new drivers that don't know how to break frozen brakes loose, if you need a little demonstration, stop in. The guys in the shop will show you. I'll be glad to come out and show you. Carry a fairly heavy hammer with you. Actually carry a good toolkit with you. Carry a fairly heavy hammer with you so you can hit them brake shoes and hit them brake drums and break them free. It don't take too much, but them tires will slide. Also carry a toolkit with you, especially in the winter here. You can help yourself a little bit if you get a breakdown on the road. Carry a small toolkit with you. It don't have to be anything fancy. Cheap tools you buy at a discount store or something like that. Turning the page here. Plug your trucks in. Far as out here in the Bauer yard, if you're coming in on a weekend or you're coming in during the week, whatever the case may be, make sure you're plugging your truck in. It is your responsibility to plug it in. The mechanics do keep an eye on it there, but make sure when you park it out there, if you're leaving it in the yard here, make sure it's plugged in so it'll start when you're ready to leave. Also, make sure them fuel tanks are full when you come into the Bauer yard. Fill your truck up. We got good treated fuel here. Fill that truck up. If it gets driven in and out of the wash bay, driven in and out of the shop, the warm air will cause condensation in your tanks. If the tanks are full, less chance of getting condensation in your fuel tanks. We don't want anybody to have any trouble in the winter with condensation or gelling fuel. So try to, when you come into the Bauer yard, fill your trucks up. Another just a kind of a helpful hint. The recent temperatures haven't been that cold. We're bouncing around at 32 degrees and stuff like that. You're driving on these cold, frozen days where the temperature's borderline. Watch that spray on your tires when you're going down the road. All the trucks are equipped on inside on your dash outside temperature gauge. Keep an eye on it. Watch the spray off your tires or other motorists spray off their tires. When that spray stops, you got a chance of being running on ice, and it's really this time of year where them temperatures are varying. It's really hard to tell. Watch the bridge decks and overpasses. Them are the ones that'll freeze first. So keep an eye on that sort of thing. Just coming into the yard, allow yourself a little extra time for engine warm-ups and things like that when it's extremely cold. Check the National Weather Service. See where you're going. A few things from the guys in the shop. Truck regens, a lot of you know how to do it. The park regens when your dash lights up and says park regen needed, things like that. If it's asking for a park regen, please stop, get yourself to a safe area where you can park, a rest area, truck stop, decent parking spot. You're going to be there probably 45 minutes or so. let that truck do that park regen. It's asking for it. If you don't do that park regen, you got taking a good chance that it'll derate to 5 miles an hour. If you get in a derate, we got a problem. You're gonna end up on a wrecker. So make sure you, when it's asking for a regen, make sure you do it. It can cause you a lot of problems if you don't. So far as winter travel, over in the fuel shack by the fuel pumps, there's always windshield washer. Carry 2-3 extra jugs of windshield washer. Again, we can buy it a lot cheaper here at the Bauer yard than you drivers can buy it on the road. So take enough of that. Also carry extra coolant, extra oil in case you spring a leak or something. And always from the guys in the shop, always remember to write stuff up. If you got issues on that truck, they don't know everything what goes on them trucks. They'll get them in and do their oil changes and grease jobs, things like that. But if you got issues, make sure you write them trucks up. Make sure you write as far as putting it on the DVIR on the electronic log. Our mechanics ain't going to go through the DVIRs on electronic logs. Don't write it up on there. Make sure you write up a paper one, and make sure you put it in the right spot in the driver's room there. Dog tracking trailers. What I mean by dog tracking trailers, we've experienced a lot of trouble, and some of the drivers are writing them up and stuff. That's when an alignment issue is on a trailer, and the only way the mechanics are going to know that there's an alignment issue is if you drivers write them up. So if your trailer is tracking to the right or to the left, by all means, you can notice it by looking in your mirror while you're driving down the road if it's tracking to the right or something. Kind of get a good idea, how many inches it's running off. When you get back to the yard, write that trailer up so the guys can. It could be anything. Could be an alignment issue. Could be bushings wore. But the only way we're going to get it corrected, and the only way the shop guys will know about it is if you write them up. So if you see an experience in a trailer, dog tracking one way or the other, write it up so we know about it. Just another issue, we've had some issues with Sierra Pacific loads. Sierra Pacific window door loads, they put sand on the floors so your windows slide in and out. Drivers, please carry a broom, or some of you are carrying leaf blowers and things like that. Make sure you sweep that sand out after you got them window loads done. We've experienced some serious damage to trailers and serious damage to product due to the fact that the windows are sliding, or the freight after the windows is sliding on the floor. We really got a problem with that. Please sweep them trailers out. A few things from dispatch. Timely deliveries, pickups and deliveries. We got to be on time. A lot of these major companies that we haul for, they score us. I see the score sheets come across my desk here. We're doing a good job. I mean, don't get me wrong, but we can always do better. Try to be on time for your pickups. Try to be on time for your deliveries. What we do experience, if our score goes down on our timely pickups and deliveries, we may get limited to customers that we can haul for. They all score us. If our scores go too low, they'll limit us to loads that they'll put on us. So it's a big deal. Freight rates are not great right now. We need to haul for the better customers, so we got to be timely pickups and deliveries. If you're going to be late, by all means, get a hold of dispatch and give them plenty advance notice. Stay in contact with dispatch is a big thing here. Here and there, we've had to pay late fees. Sometimes it's not the driver's fault. It's the shipper, the receiver holding you up, and we all know that. We're quite aware of that. You get held up, and hours of service rules don't let you. There's no way you're going to get these loads delivered timely. But that's when we got to communicate with dispatch, get a hold of them, tell them, hey, this ain't going to happen. There's no way, and it happens a lot. I hear it all the time, and we're well aware of that. Detention time. Shipper or receiver is holding you up. The only way you're going to get paid for detention time is if you write up a detention slip. The papers are supplied in your trip packets. Write it up. Time you arrived, your appointment time, write a book on that piece of paper so we understand what happened. Another thing is, stay in contact with dispatch when it is happening. If you're not getting loaded, you're not getting unloaded, about an hour you've been sitting around, nothing's happening, you better be contacting dispatch and let them know. Please, let them know. A little bit from the office, anything, any chance you get to the Bauer yard, you return, whether you do a short trip or a long trip, whatever the case may be, if you come through the Bauer yard, complete your trip pack, your trip report, turn all your receipts in, turn all your bill of ladings in, fuel slips, etc. Make sure everything's in there. Even if you're just going on another short trip, please turn it in. Any chance you come into the Bauer yard, turn your trip reports in. Sooner we get the bill of ladings, the sooner we get all your receipts, the girls can start processing this thing. Otherwise, they get them all at once. It's hard for them to get payroll done. That's what we all come here for, payroll. So turn your paperwork in. Any chance you get. Few drivers are not starting their trip reports in Medford. If you want to be paid from Medford to where you load your trailer, you got to start your load in Medford. The only time you're not going to start your load in Medford if somebody brings you a trailer, you're doing a turn or burn or something like that, then you'll break it off at a different location. But try to always start and end in Medford. Another thing, we're experiencing, some of you drivers are doing a great job on it, some maybe not so much. But New York toll miles. I know it's a pain in the butt, but that's what New York does to us. We got to keep track of our toll road miles in New York. Please try to record it. And I know it's not that easy, but when you're running New York toll miles, write it down on a notepad. And when you're off the toll roads, write it down again. Record it on the bottom right side of your trip report. Also, buying fuel not buying fuel, but getting fuel in the yard, also record that on the bottom right side of your trip report. Some of the drivers don't write that down on their trip report. So anyway, that's all I got. Thanks for watching the video. Drivers are all doing a great job. We appreciate what you do. Have a safe winter driving season. Thank you.